Hello. Today, I want to talk to you about communicating your boundaries, specifically with your time, but what I share with you can really be applied in anything. And if you want to dive deeper into this, I'm going to be hosting a free training on Tuesday, December 6th, last free training of the year, where you can come and we're going to talk about boundaries, where to put them in place, why they're a game changer, how it can help you prioritize your time better. We're going to go deeper into how to communicate them and more. So if you're interested, go to the link in below this and sign up for that free training. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is communicating. And this is something that I used to not be very good at it. I've learned a lot over the years how to do it. And partially is like, I think sometimes when we want to communicate our boundaries, it is because we feel frustrated by it. We feel like a little bit of resentment. We feel like someone is not respecting what we need, even though we haven't told them what we need. And so there's some emotion in that. And an example of that is I just got off of a meeting. I had said before the meeting, like, hey, it's a standing meeting we have. I've had a sick kid this week. I could use the time for something else, but I also want to be there to support you because we're doing it. So if you guys are showing up and you want that support, let's have the call. So, okay, they said, yeah, we want to meet. So we went on the call. There was 3 of us. And the call was like, they were doing work separately. And so they were talking about something totally separate. I did not need to be there at all. Like it had nothing to do with me. And I did say, hey, I'm going to leave for a bit to do other things, but it was my Zoom link. So I could not just leave the meeting. But I'm very mindful of how I communicate that boundary. And I did try to get out of during it, wasn't quite being picked up, but now I'm going to communicate a boundary with my time, that being like, hey, if you're going to have your own meeting, like, let's make sure who needs to be in the room. And if me or someone else doesn't need to be in the room, let's like either you have your meeting separate or we let the other person know they don't need to be there to respect everyone's time. I could just fire off kind of annoyed message, but instead I think about how to communicate that in a way. And I'm going to share some of those tips and strategies with you, but it's just a simple thing. So whether this is you communicating your boundaries with your time, whether you're communicating a no, which oftentimes a no is tied with our boundaries, whatever it might be for you. And a key mindset with this and perspective shift is a lot of people have a hard time doing this. Either they expect people to read their minds and know what they're up to, or they feel bad about it and they worry about telling people what they need or what they are doing. But the thing is that when you communicate your boundaries, when you let people know what you're up to, that is when you can maintain that relationship, build it stronger, and you have a far better chance of people respecting your boundaries and you following through on your boundaries when you tell people what you're up to. So, okay, so today I'm just going to share a couple things to keep in mind. And like I said, if you want to know more, join me for that free training coming up on Tuesday. So one, when you are communicating a no or a boundary or with your time, whatever it might be, think about how you can build the bridge or how you can maintain the bridge. And sometimes we just want to say what we think, and that can be okay. I'm sharing what's really helped me is thinking about how do I keep that bridge intact? And that always makes sure I'm coming from this place of like caring for the relationship, but still knowing, hey, it's important to say something. So think about when you're thinking about how to phrase it, what is a way that you can help build that bridge? And it can be as simple as expressing gratitude or appreciation. Like I'll use the example when I'm going to share with my peers about the boundary is, hey, I really value these meetings with you guys. I love connecting with you. Something just, especially right now, this season, have other stuff going on with sick kids and stuff. And so it would be really helpful. I know you guys are doing a separate project that you're working on. So either if you're going to talk about that, set up your own meeting, or I'm happy if this time is best for you, just let me know. And I'm happy to go, you guys do your own meeting and I'll do something else. And I think we can all respect that for each other because we're all busy and have things on the go. And, I really value you guys, love our connections, and just wanted to throw that out there. And I'll even be more mindful. That's a little off the cuff, but to make sure I'm being clear in what I'm asking for, because that's another thing, being clear and kind in what you're communicating. And that is comes from Brene Brown, being unclear is unkind, being clear is kind. And so think about when you're communicating it, you want to be clear. You don't want to be vague in what you're trying to say or wishy-washy with it, because then, people don't understand what you're trying to say, but then also be kind in it. And that can also help with building that bridge. So another key thing to keep in mind is when you are communicating your boundary. And, I might have not done that in my last example. I would think about more what I'm communicating. That was totally off the cuff for you guys. But like, communicate what you are going to do, not telling the other person what they need to do. Because if we're telling other people what they need to do, then we're in a controlling phase, but if we're focused on what we're doing. So now that I think about communicating that, I would just say, hey, this is what I'm asking for the group. Next time, if I find we're off topic, I'm just going to speak up and let you guys know so you can go do your own meeting. That would be, I'm kind of asking them to be mindful of it. But if we find ourselves in that situation, this is what I'm going to do. But talk about what you are going to do, because that is within your control. So let's say you are not going to respond to emails from your coworkers in the evening, which is a really common thing that comes up with people, professionals. And so a lot of times people might say, like, don't send me emails in the evening, but then you're telling someone else what to do. It is far more effective to communicate what you're going to do. So, hey, I'm making my personal time a priority and I'm going to have my phone away. So for that reason, I will not be responding to emails. I'm going to follow up with you in the morning. Just let people know what you're up to, communicate it to the people who need to hear it. And then the next part of that is actually following through. If you say that you are not going to do it, then don't do it. And that's another thing. If you tell someone you're not going to do it, you're far more likely to follow through, because you kind of put your word out there. And typically we want to honor our word that we say to other people more than if we just kind of say it in our head and nobody would know the difference. So letting people know that. And finally, just thinking about how can you share it in a way that has a positive tone, express gratitude, but be very clear in that no. So a great thing could be like, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for sending me this email. I'm going to be away on vacation for this time. So, you can give an alternative even. My team member can do this. I'll get back to you at this time. But just, again, let people know what you're up to. So that's just a little bit to think about. If you want to know more, join me for the free training where we're going to talk all about boundaries with your time and to set you up for success.